What's a mistake that ended up benefiting you? Interviewing for a job offer. Recruiter asked what my last drawn salary was. I gave a rough figure, and they assumed that figure did not include bonuses when it did. I got a 40 raise from that offer. Got my current job because the other guy showed up almost an hour late to his interview. My boss actually told me that we had very similar qualifications, but he had more experience in the field, but they ended up going with me because they deemed him unreliable. Back in 1996, I was in Miami with my family. On the day we were supposed to come back, we overslept and missed our flight to Atlanta. That flight, well, it exploded not even 15 minutes after takeoff and killed everyone on board. It was the deadliest plane crash in Florida history. It wasn't a mistake as such, but one time we went with my mother to buy school shoes. They left my sister and I, about 8 or 10 years old, standing in line to pay, and a woman simply cut in, and even though we told her, she totally ignored us. When it was our turn to pay, we won a computer and a drawing to be the person number X who paid. So, thank you ma'am, I guess. Scalped 20th row seats for a Sinatra show when I was a teenager, and the scalping agency mailed me front row seats. Fantastic show. Confused mobsters seated next to us. Once during a lecture, the lecturer asked if anyone knew when the Battle of Agincourt was a lecture series with very diverse lectures, not focused on history. I raised my hand and answered 1415 with the intention of saying it was during the 14th or 15th century, but turned out it happened exactly in 1415, and the lecturer figured that's what I said. Didn't benefit from it really, but it was funny that everyone thought I was way more of a history buff than actually was the case. Failing to pay for my license plate stickers on time, but for some reason they sent me new ones anyways, so free registration and stickers this year. 40 years ago the bank did not register a $400 withdrawal from my account. 3 years ago my HR department changed their computer system and gave me double annual leave. I questioned them if their records were correct and they insisted they were. Got a letter from the government that I forgot to pay taxes in 2021 and I needed to file immediately and they would determine my penalty. Finished them last night. They owe me money. I guess I can talk about it now. Many years ago my paycheck was supposed to be $443.21 and a zero got added to it. I never said anything and they never caught it. I was paid $4,432.10. Another time, I took a $2,000 signature loan at my bank and had only made 2 payments when the bank was sold. After a month I called the new bank and asked how to make the payment. The man told me to wait for a statement in the mail. I asked what would happen if they didn't send me a statement. He repeated, "Wait for the statement, sir." That was 2015-ish and I'm still waiting. The police wrote a parking summons for me, but they put the wrong license plate. Hence I was never required to pay for it. Amazon Fresh was giving me free pizzas around 90 of the time we ordered. This is before they went through the recent remodeling. We would pick up custom pizzas that would never show up on the receipt. I inherited some funds and paid off my home against the advice of my financial advisor. It was the most liberating thing I've ever done. Not a mistake, but just really sad yet beneficial. My mom was going to move out of her condo, which was far from paid off. Mere days before she would sign the papers to move out, she passed away. Thanks to mortgage insurance, we got the full value of the condo rather than getting only the amount that was paid off. It's all a pretty fucked up combination of feelings. Life is pretty fucked up, which we all find sooner or later. I recently went on holiday and was compensated for the pool at the hotel being closed. We turned up, the pool was fine. 60 quid off the holiday, thank you very much. Getting dumped by the woman I thought I loved and wanted to marry. It was a hard lesson but totally worth the pain. I got sober, went to therapy and learned a lot about myself. I'm such a different person than I was 4 years ago and so much happier now. My son was in a car accident. A bad one. His seatbelt actually malfunctioned and came unclipped. He was ejected from the car and suffered a ton of injuries. Broken back in 4 places, broke every bone in his right arm and severed blood vessels. Internal injuries to his kidneys and liver and traumatic brain injury. Those are the major injuries. There were several other non-life-threatening injuries. But the point of this is that the passenger side where he was seated was crushed, and had he been there, he wouldn't have survived. Being ejected from the car actually saved his life. I had an employer massively overpay me. Delivery driver gave me someone else order. Best burger I had in weeks. Edit: it was Five Guys with a side of fries and a drink. The drive-thru at Starbucks had a mix-up and gave me the wrong breakfast sandwich. I was running late and feeling adventurous, so I ate it anyway. Now it's my regular order. Exposed a narcissist without knowing how he would react. Lost a bunch of friends because he conducted smear campaign to ruin my reputation with people we knew. Turned out to be a hard filter for shitty friends in my life, and doing so much better without them now. A 4-year 10-rate tech college program mistakenly denied me entry. I went with a 2-year program instead. I then learned the pay is the exact same for the job regardless if you have a bachelor's versus an associate's. Employers only care if you passed your boards. The only thing you need a bachelor's for is if you want to be a radiology department manager. And I for sure don't want that job. I want to work with patients. I had a hospital bill from when I had a heart attack that was at $7,000. When I got it down to $4,000, it jumped to $8,000. I called for a week straight complaining about it until a lady brought it up with her supervisor and it went back to $4,000. I make payments and get it to $3,500. The next month I go to make a payment, it goes down to $0 for some reason. I call, I ask for my balance, and they say $0. I waited a week, called and asked again, and they said $0. So I told myself that I'm not going to inconvenience them with this and took it for what it was. Getting pregnant. We didn't think we were ready to have a kid yet. Within days of my son being conceived, a car crash took away my husband and, unbeknownst to us at the time, my son's father. He was born 8 months and 8 days after his father's death. He's 3.5 now, and I don't think I would be here without him. Many years ago, when I was bicycle touring in Italy with friends, I stopped at a tiny bank to cash a traveler's check. That's how long ago it was. Lol. The TC was American Express, but in Swiss francs. Poor clerk misread it and thought it was US dollar and cashed accordingly. Based on exchange rate, it was about a $70 mistake in my favor, which I didn't realize till we were well down the road. Took the 3 of us out to a nice steak meal.